Senator Markey fended off Joe Kennedy in that primary. He did so with a lot of help, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And what I was saying is that I have a lot of friends who are moderate Republicans. They do not like President Trump. They want to vote for Joe Biden, but they are very worried about the influence of the hard left on the Democratic Party right now. And this primary win, is that not proof that the extreme political end of the Democratic Party is growing stronger?
No, I don't view it that way. And I was elected 5 times here in the state. And I understand the coalitions and what it takes to make things happen. I think that, first of all, I think AOC, as she's known, her voice is important. She's one member of Congress. She's had a larger voice in this last year or so because she's taken a leadership role in putting together some ideas. But those ideas are going to be pounded through the entire Congress. And there is no way that one group or one faction or one side is going to pass everything any more than they have in the Senate today, where you have a hard right Republican group, well-defined and well-known, that hasn't succeeded in getting what it wants. The Congress has a way of equalizing those things. And Joe Biden has been very, very clear. He's going to be a president for all the American people. He understands this is a moment where the country needs to unite. He's put forward a very thoughtful, very progressive plan for infrastructure. I happen to have played a role in that, and so did Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She played a very constructive role. And we've put together something that nobody thinks is radical. Nobody thinks is sort of far left or anything else. They think it's a sensible way of putting America to work and helping to grow our economy and deal with problems of health, of our infrastructure, our safety, as well as to bolster American leadership and deal with energy and other solutions at the same time. So I feel very good about it. I feel very confident that, and Joe Biden, they know Joe Biden. He's not going to sign something under duress. He's been vice president for 8 years. And President Obama said of him that the best political decision he thought he made in 8 years was making Joe Biden vice president. This is somebody America knows and I believe can trust.
Okay. President Trump right now is polling higher with African Americans than the vote total for him in 2016. And Joe Biden, as we all know, he was hit by his own running mate during the first debate about opposing integrated busing in the 1970s. And Anita Hill said last year that his apology for essentially silencing her during the Clarence Thomas hearings was not sufficient in her mind. So my question is, do you think he still has some work to do or explaining to do to the Black community right now?
Well, I think everybody in America has some work to do in order to try to make up for things that have been a problem for many, many years now. I was in the Senate when the crime bill was passed. We were seeing an increase of crime in America, and we responded to that. I was a prosecutor at one point in time, and I remember leading the charge on trying to put in 100,000 additional police officers on our streets in order to reduce the impact of crime. We did it. We created community policing. It was a very constructive thing. But in the course of that, other institutions, other things went further, and we wound up with people being incarcerated under criteria that wound up filling up the jails, and people have a right to be upset at some of those criteria. That's not Joe Biden. That's just the general way in which the system moved in reaction to crime. So we have to be careful now to have a president who isn't going to exploit that, who isn't going to try to stoke divisions between Americans over these kinds of things, but actually bring people together and say, hey, folks, how do we solve this problem? How do we do this in a reasonable way, where we're not spending taxpayer money in a silly way, where we're not making life more unfair than the unfairness of what is prompting us to take action? These are the ways you legislate smartly. And Joe Biden knows how to do that. And I think his heart is pure in wanting to make up for anything where something went too far inadvertently at any point in time. Okay. I think his nomination of Kamala Harris makes it very clear where his heart is and where his political soul is. And now we have to bring America together, not divide it, the way President Trump has been consciously, willfully dividing it.
Okay, 2 more questions for you. First, Joe Biden would be the oldest person ever elected president if he wins. And President Trump, no spring chicken either himself, obviously. Recent poll I saw showed more than 70% of both Democrats and Republicans think candidates should take cognitive tests, something Mr. Biden says he's not yet done. Do you think he should do so and presidential candidates should do so?
I think every day of a campaign for president of the United States is a cognitive test. I've been there, I've done it. I'm 77. I feel, I don't know, 50 something. I do everything I do same way. I'm still running around. I do a lot of sports, and you're listening to me now. I don't think I feel handicapped in any way, and I don't think Joe Biden. I mean, look at what he's done. For 2 years, he's been running around this country. He has campaigned in city after city and place after place. He stood on a stage through debate after debate. He gave a brilliant speech at the convention, a terrific one in Pennsylvania the other day. He's flying to, to Kenosha today. I mean, come on, guys. Let's be realistic about all this. Running for president is a daily cognitive test, period. And by the way, Donald Trump has trouble reading a speech, trouble getting through a speech, trouble putting sentences together. He's got a limited vocabulary of beautiful and huge and a few other words. I think that this is getting ridiculous. People will make their judgment on the basis of how their lives are doing and how our nation is doing. And right now, it seems pretty clear to me we can do better.
Okay. Mr. Secretary, I'd be remiss if I did not ask you this because this just came out the other day. The man behind Swift Boat Veterans for Truth, the group that smeared you, frankly, 15 years ago during your presidential run, is spearheading a new PAC to help the president. My overall question is, because there are PACs obviously on both sides, what needs to be done, if anything, do you think, to rein these PACs in who are, let's say, less than truthful in their advertising?
Well, we have a real challenge because the Supreme Court has ruled that money is speech and you have a right to spend it. The problem in America today is that whole bunches of people who don't have money don't have a voice that's heard. And there's too much money in American politics and too much money from powerful interests. I was delighted to see that in the money reported that Joe Biden raised in the last month, the vast majority of it came from small donations through the internet. That's the best of democracy. But the truth is, too much of the American political agenda is defined by big lobbyists, big money in Washington. And the fact is that some of these groups that get money that doesn't have to be reported, you know where it comes from in some cases. And they just lie and distort. It's a real challenge, and I think we'd be far better off if we had campaign finance reform. John McCain and I and Russ Feingold from Wisconsin, we used to fight like hell for that, along with other people. And it still hasn't been achieved to the degree that needs to be done.